United Nations Sustainable Development Goal (SDG 8) seeks to foster inclusive and sustainable economic growth while ensuring full and productive employment, effectively advocating for decent work opportunities for all. However, the current global employment landscape is characterized by a disconcerting projection of merely 1.0% growth in 2023, less than half of the previous year figure. This is expected to result in a projected increase in global unemployment to 208 million individuals. This predicament is exacerbated by a cost of living crisis compelling a growing number of people, including those in employment, into poverty, particularly affecting those living in absolute poverty, approximately 200 million people, and the extensive informal economy, approximately 2 billion people, characterized by a lack of legal rights and social protection.
SDG 8 is a pivotal multiplier goal within the overreaching Sustainable Development Agenda. Its distinctive multidimensional character encompasses social, economic, and environmental objectives, rendering it essential for the successful realization of the other SDGs. For example, decent work and economic growth are essential for poverty eradication, reducing inequality, and ensuring quality education for lifelong learning.
This thesis will examine the current state of SDG 8 implementation, identify key challenges and opportunities, and propose recommendations for accelerating progress towards this critical goal. It will argue that SDG 8 is achievable through concerted efforts by governments, businesses, and civil society to promote inclusive and sustainable economic growth, create decent work opportunities for all, and protect the rights of workers.
Sustained and inclusive economic growth is essential for sustainable development. Economic growth can bring new and better job opportunities, increase economic security, and improve livelihood for people all around the world. However, the global economy faces impending threats. An anticipated slowdown in GDP per capita growth for 2023. Informal employment is also on the rise.
According to the International Labour Organization or the ILO, global unemployment is projected to reach 208 million individuals in 2023, up from 201 million in 2022. Young people are particularly affected, with youth unemployment rates at 33% in 2023, twice the rate of adults. Informal employment is also widespread, with approximately 2 billion people working in the informal sector.
Despite the challenges, there have been some positive developments in recent decades. Global poverty has decreased significantly, and developing countries have seen a threefold increase in their middle-class workforce. However, the global economic recovery is marred by slower growth, rising inequalities, and inadequate job creation. According to ILO, over 204 million people were unemployed in 2015. Recent 2022 data accentuates these challenges. Young people, 15 to 24 years, make up to 21% of the working age population, but less than 13% of the employed workforce. Youth unemployment stands at 33%, with twice the likelihood of living in extreme poverty compared to adults. Moreover, 78% of young people engage in informal employment compared to 58% for adults.
According to the humanitarian organizations AfghanAid, 80% of the Afghan households have experienced income reduction, with 82% taking on debt and 97% facing poverty since August 2021. These factors combined with global increase in basic food and fuel prices have left millions unable to make ends meet, earn sustainable incomes, or work towards rebuilding Afghanistan's economy. Assessing funds is difficult, further hampering economic stability. Moreover, the restrictions on women working have depleted the country's workforce, affecting male family members and decreasing families' ability to work.
Despite its recent economic growth, Afghanistan remains a very poor country, with a large proportion of the population living in poverty and illiteracy. Despite low measured unemployment rates, the high levels of underemployment, precarious or casual employment, and working poverty in Afghanistan indicate that the labor market is in poor condition. Policymakers are looking at the potential of labor migration as a safety valve for local unemployment pressures, a means to diversify livelihoods and a source of income or remittances, to alleviate poverty and promote development.
The Afghan government has taken steps to promote labor migration, such as prioritizing the employment of Afghan workers in abroad in its national priority programs. Afghan government and the International Labor Organization, or, ILO, have also identified promoting productive employment through LMI, or labor market information, and skills development as country priority 1 for the For Decent Work Country Program period 2010 to 2015.
South Africa has the world's highest unemployment rate, with 35.3% of the working population unemployed in the fourth quarter of 2021. This is significantly higher than the global average unemployment rate of 6.2% in 2022.
There are a number of factors that contribute to South Africa's high unemployment rate. One factor is the low level of education and skills among the workforce. According to a 2016 survey by the World Bank, only 23% of South Africans have the skills required for modern jobs. This lack of skills make it difficult for job seekers to find employment, particularly in formal sector.
Another factor contributing to South Africa's high unemployment rate is the lack of economic growth. The South African economy has grown slowly in recent years, and this has limited the creation of new jobs. In 2022, the South African economy expected to grow by only 2.1%, which is well below the rate of population growth.
Finally, the decline in demand for unskilled labor has also contributed to South Africa's high unemployment rate. This decline is due to a number of factors, including technological change, globalization, and the shift to a service-based economy. As a result of this decline, there are fewer jobs available for unskilled workers.
The consequences of South Africa's high unemployment rate are far-reaching. Unemployment can lead to poverty, inequality, and social unrest. Unemployed people are more likely to live in poverty, and they also more likely to commit crimes. In addition, high unemployment rates can lead to social unrest, as people who are unable to find jobs increasingly frustrated and angry.
Africa's development is dependent on the work of its people, but the region faces a number of challenges in creating opportunities for decent work. Some of these challenges lie in the unfair nature of the global economic system, while others are internal to Africa itself.
The International Labour Organization is well positioned to address these challenges. It has tripartite structure that brings together governments, employers, and workers, which allows it to develop and implement policies that are fair and inclusive. The International Labour Organization also focuses on skills development, which is essential for creating sustainable jobs. Additionally, the International Labour Organization is committed to social justice and the elimination of all forms of discrimination.
The ILO has launched hundreds of community-based projects in Africa to improve skills formation, develop small enterprises, extend microinsurance and microfinance, eliminate child labor, and end gender and other forms of discrimination. These projects has demonstrated the power of giving people a chance to develop and use their capabilities.
India's unemployment rate is currently at 7.09%, down from 8.2% a year ago. However, this is still significantly higher than the global average unemployment rate of 6.2% in 2022.
There are a number of factors that contribute to India's high unemployment rate. One factor is the growing population. India has a population over 1.4 billion people, and this population is expected to continue to grow to coming years. This rapid population growth is putting a strain on the job market and making it difficult to create enough jobs for everyone.
Another factor contributing to India's high unemployment rate is poverty and illiteracy. According to the World Bank, over 200 million people in India live below the poverty line. Poverty and illiteracy make it difficult for people to find jobs, particularly in the formal sector.
Inflation is also a factor that contributes to unemployment in India. Inflation increases prices without a proportionate increase in goods and services. This leads to a fall in real income for the public, resulting in a higher supply of labor than demand, leading to more unemployment.
Finally, the lack of job opportunities in the formal sector is another factor that contributes to the unemployment in India. The majority of the jobs in India are in the informal sector, which is characterized by low wages and irregular employment. This lack of job opportunities in the formal sector makes it difficult for the people to find decent jobs.
Despite strong economic performance up to 2010 and policy measures, the majority of workers in India are in informal employment, 91.2%, with a decline in the share of formal workers in the organized sector from 58% to 49% between 1999 to 2000 and 2009 to 2010.
Poverty rates have fallen in India, but income inequality has risen, along with disparities based on gender, social group, age, migration status, and location. Rural-urban migration is partly due to insufficient economic development outside of major cities and towns.
The latest figures from the Philippine Statistics Authority show that the unemployment rate in the country was 6.4% in the second quarter of 2023, down from 7% the previous year. However, this decline should be interpreted with caution, as it is still significantly higher than the pre-pandemic unemployment rate of 5.3% in 2019.
More importantly, the official unemployment rate does not capture the full extent of the challenge of unemployment in the Philippines. According to a 2015 study by Salsova, only 58% of workers in the country are engaged in paid positions. The remaining 42% are either self-employed with uncertain income, work in family-owned businesses without cash compensation, or are unemployed altogether.
This high prevalence of low-quality employment is a major concern, as it leaves many workers vulnerable to poverty and social exclusion. Workers in the informal sector typically lack of access to social security benefits and have little no or bargaining power. They are also more likely to be exposed to dangerous working conditions and exploitations.
The Philippines was one of the first countries to participate in the ILO's pilot program on decent work. The Philippines Action Program for Decent Work aims to reduce poverty by supporting the adoption and implementation of appropriate and integrated policies and programs that promote full, decent, and productive employment for Filipino workers. The program has been designed to support government and social partners' initiatives to address decent work deficits in terms of rights at work, employment, social protection, and social dialogue.
Philippines has adopted the ILO's Decent Work Agenda, which is reflected in the Philippine Labor and Employment Plan 2011 to 2016 and Decent Work Country Program or DWCP Philippines 2020 to 2024. These plans focus on increasing employment levels, improving the quality of employment, providing greater social protection for the vulnerable and marginalized, and promoting social dialogue among the tripartite social partners.
Philippines, through the Department of Labor and Employment or DOLE, has adopted the ILO's Decent Work Agenda. Under the Benigno S. Aquino III administration, the DOLE developed the Philippine Labor and Employment Plan 2011 to 2016 or LEP, with a subtitle, Inclusive Growth Through Decent Work and Productive Work. The LEP had four major decent work goals: increasing employment levels, improving the quality of employment, providing greater social protection for the vulnerable and marginalized, and promoting social dialogue among the tripartite social partners and other stakeholders.
The Decent Work Country Program, or DWCP, Philippines 2020 to 2024 reflects the shared priorities of government, workers, and employers in the country, focusing on employment, labor market governance, and social protection to build back better.
In conclusion, unemployment is a significant issue in many countries, including Afghanistan, India, Africa, and the Philippines.
The COVID-19 pandemic has further exacerbated the unemployment crisis in these countries, with millions of people losing their jobs due to lockdowns and economic slowdowns.
Governments in these countries have implemented measures to address the unemployment crisis, including employment guarantee programs, youth employment initiatives, and infrastructure development programs.
However, more needs to be done to create sustainable employment opportunities and reduce unemployment rates in these countries.